moment. Before we begin, Seder Hota'at Torah, the service for removing the Sifrei Torah from the Ark, we are going to hear from a couple of young folks in our community, from Daniella Davis and from Daniel Springer, who finished up their campership at Camp Ramah Darom this summer. Bethel does not exist in a vacuum. And especially when it comes to our kids and their Jewish identity and their growth as human beings and their connection with the Jewish people. There are USY is important, and our Talmud Torah is great, but one of the really powerful things that we can do is send them to Jewish summer camp. The camp for the conservative movements in this area is Camp Ramah Darom. And as we have in years past, we are going to hear from a couple of our kids who finished up their final Gesher summer. They'll tell you what Gesher means, their final Gesher summer at Camp Ramah Darom this past summer. So Daniella is going to come up here, and Daniel is going to go over to the Bima where Sid was leading us, and they are prepared to go back and forth. This is a very technical presentation as they share with us some reflections about the summer. All right. And once you're up here, you can take your mask off.
Hi, I'm Daniella. At age 8, I stepped onto Ramah Darom's campus for the first time. It would take me years to learn the true importance of my experience that summer. As a very young camper, camp was a place that I went for a fun time, to make friends, and to have new experiences. Over time, my friendships blossomed as we had small reunions and attended each other's B'nai Mitzvot. Even when communication over the year decreased, the camp environment brought everything back each summer. Although I was aware of how meaningful these friendships were, there was something that I was not aware of that was growing too. And this was my love and pride for being Jewish. And I want to share with you how this leads back to my relationship with camp. I first went to camp 8 summers ago because my older sister had been going. I had spent so much time hearing about her super fun summers, and after a transition from the learner school to public school, my parents and I knew it was time for me to go to camp to be able to continue having a Jewish connection. I can undeniably say that this was one of the best decisions that my parents have ever made for me.
I first went to camp in 2019 as a Nachshonimer, the third oldest age group. I went to camp sort of on a whim. My mom had asked me if I wanted to go one day, and I just said sure, not really knowing what to expect. My first year was a really fun experience. I met a bunch of people from varying states around the country, and even some from outside of the country, one from Israel and one from Britain. I'm still friends with all of these people today. Camp is very important because it introduces you to both a diverse group of people from all over the US, and also, at the same time, it surrounds you with a sort of familiarity because everyone there is Jewish, just like you. This gives you a new insight into how life as a Jew is the same, but also different in other areas of the country and the world. Camp Ramah Darom also gradually teaches you a little bit of Hebrew. All of the places in camp have Hebrew names, the age groups all have Hebrew names, and they sprinkle in a few other Hebrew words throughout everyday life at camp.
The community of Ramah Darom is like no other. It may be hard to understand the feeling that I'll attempt to share with you if you've never really experienced it, but I'll try to explain. At camp, your Adah or age group is a group of kids who return to camp year after year. Friends in your Adah become family over time. Camp is a place where everyone is a friendly face. We thrive off the importance of inclusion and acceptance within the Kehillah. This feeling of community begins to go beyond the people into the actual place. The peaceful and meaningful environment is a staple in the strong connection of our camp. Another very important thing that brings our camp together is celebrating Kabbalat Shabbat and Havdalah together with the entire camp community. We bring in Shabbat together in the most enthusiastic Kab Shabs you'll probably ever experience, and say goodbye to Shabbat through Havdalah celebrations, getting the whole camp to come together and dance their hearts out. These small Jewish celebrations become a large building block in creating a strong love for Judaism in each camper's heart from such a young age. Campers always look up to the love of these things shown by the older campers, specifically the Edah Gesher.
This summer, I went to camp as Gesher, the oldest age group in camp. I can say with certainty that it was the best summer of my life. I got to see all my friends from last year camp and a bunch of new ones that had gone a different session than me. This was actually my favorite part of camp. Living with 28 guys that I gradually became best friends with and spending all of my day with them was amazing. While in Gesher, I also got to participate in many camp and Gesher traditions, such as leading Yom Sport. Yom Sport is a kind of giant team competition that everyone in camp participates in. In Gesher, you get many opportunities to build your leadership skills. One such opportunity is being a counselor in training. You can be a bunk CIT, where you basically are an assistant counselor for the kids in an age group, and be a MIAM CIT, where you learn to be and actually get certified as a lifeguard, is the one I did, and a bunch of other CIT options, including climbing, dance, and art. Another leadership opportunity is the aforementioned Yom Sport, which Gesher leads. Everyone in Gesher has a role as a leader in Yom Sport, whether it be as a team captain, a judge, or a banner captain, or any of the other roles.
Gesher always had a powerful way of sharing ruach and love for camp and Judaism. This does many things. It shows the younger campers how cool it is to be so engaged in Judaism and also make them long for the day that they can be a part of Gesher. I know this is true because I was that camper for so many years. This summer, I got to be a part of Gesher. After a heartbreaking summer at home last year due to COVID, my Gesher was able to come back this summer and make a weird situation into the best summer of our lives. My Gesher Edah was a group of 57 best friends. With so many inside jokes, once-in-a-lifetime experiences, and memories, I truly could not explain the impact that this summer had on each and every one of us. The bonds that I have with these people will be with me my whole life. But who's surprised? Because this is what Ramah Darom does. Even now, after 3 weeks back into all of our busy lives, I wake up each morning to many Edah-wide messages wishing me Boker Tov. In Gesher, we focused a lot on leadership. As many of you may know, the word Gesher in English means bridge, as we are crossing a bridge from being campers to adults and counselors. This summer, I got to be a counselor in training for younger kids, giving me the opportunity to influence them with my passion and ruach for camp. I was also able to lead services and read Torah for both my Edah and the whole camp. I even read a line of Eicha on Tisha B'Av for the whole camp. These important experiences allowed me to grow as a leader and a Jew. Many other Jewish kids in the South, being Jewish is not something easy nor common at home. With very other few Jews at my school, being Jewish is something sort of hard to take pride in, which is sad. Luckily, because of summers at camp, I'm so deeply Jewish. The love of Judaism throughout my life, as it does every year when I come home from camp. I'm so grateful to camp for giving me a place to grow in so many ways as a person, a friend, and a Jew.
Shana Tova and Yashikochech and Yashikoach to Daniel and Daniella. We're speaking so beautifully. And we are grateful not only that you got to go away and have that experience. Daniela is the president of our USY chapter and is bringing some of that ruach, some of that spirit and that leadership home to our USY group. And I just want to say that we work really, really hard so that finances should never stand in the way of any of our kids who want to go to a Jewish summer camp. We have the Eric Pass Jewish Camp Scholarship Fund and other resources in the community. So if you are parents at home and you want your kids to have that experience, don't hesitate to reach out because we want to be your partners in that. And parents and grandparents, I just encourage you to make to insist on those summers that, hey, this is what you got to do, because it really does make a big difference. So thank you, Daniela and Daniel. And we are now going to